Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Mondragon. I serve as a Senior Director of Climate Resilience and Adaptation here at the Montgomery County Green Bank. It is a pleasure to be here. The Montgomery County Green Bank is the nation's first county-based green bank and a publicly chartered 501c3 nonprofit financial institution. Our mission is simple. We accelerate private investment into clean energy, energy efficiency, and climate-resilient infrastructure across Montgomery County, Maryland. In fiscal year 2025 alone, we strengthened key partnerships, expanded our operational capacity, and closed more than $82 million in projects. These investments are reducing greenhouse gas emissions, generating measurable energy savings, and delivering equitable community-based benefits, particularly in undeserved communities. In Montgomery County, we're already experiencing more intense rainfall and flooding, extreme heat, power outages, and stress on water systems due to climate change. Each year that proactive investment is delayed, these impacts translate into emergency costs that are higher, infrastructure damage, and housing instability for the county. These impacts threaten affordable housing, small businesses, and our agriculture sector. Yet historically, resilience funding has been reactive, coming in the form of grants after damage occurs, rather than a proactive investment that reduces risk, long-term cost, and protect the community before disasters occur. In 2023, Montgomery County expanded the Green Bank's scope of work to do more than energy and go and do physical climate resilience investments. That shift enabled us to launch Protecting the Path to Net Zero, or PPNZ, a pioneering initiative designed to position climate adaptation as an investable asset class rather than a grant-dependent afterthought. Through PPNZ, we structured and deployed capital for projects that strengthen buildings and infrastructure against flooding, extreme heat, and other climate risks, while also protecting the long-term asset value, preserving insurability, and enhancing community stability. Today, PPNZ operate through these 4 complementary programs designed to address different segments of the market. Resilience Dedicated Fund that serves affordable housing developers. Residential resilience loan programs is directed for residents in Montgomery County. Climate Smart Finance Agriculture Program, which is benefiting farmers, and innovative finance mechanisms, which is a work stream that we're working directly with municipalities in Montgomery County. Today, I'm going to focus my presentation on the resilience dedicated funds that are offered to affordable housing developers in Montgomery County. The Resilience Dedicated Fund represents a first-of-its-kind approach to resilience finance, uniquely combining the agility of a line of credit with a mission focus of a loan fund. This is very important. I'm going to repeat this. Uniquely combining the agility of a line of credit with a mission focus of a loan fund. That's the core focus of that program. Shifting from one-off grant-dependent models to a scalable finance-led delivery that enables rapid deployment of capital when projects are ready, and holistic project integration embedding resilience early in planning rather than post-disaster. The Resilience Dedicated Fund is a low-interest revolving loan facility designed to help affordable housing developers proactively address climate risk, long-term operating costs, and improve residents' health and well-being. The structure of the instrument enables rapid deployment of capital when projects are ready, a holistic project integration, which means you are able, as an affordable housing developer, to not only look at the project that you need to tackle in that moment, but look around that and seek opportunities around that urgent need. And blended financing, so bringing our public capital to be blended with private capital, philanthropic sources as well. By funding preventative improvements before crises occur, the dedicated fund shifts paradigm from reactive emergency repairs to forward-looking resilience upgrades that reduce long-term risk, stabilize insurance costs, and enhance affordability. This facility fills a persistent market gap by financing early-stage and integrated resilience retrofits, proving how climate, housing, health, and equity goals can be addressed through innovative finance. How is this instrument structured? So as mentioned before, the instrument is a revolving facility, flexible, low cost, which means below market rate, aligned with pre-development and resilience investment needs. It has technical assistance baked with the instrument to make sure that the investments are scoped correctly and that indeed are reducing risk and vulnerability at the property level as well as at the community level. Right now, these are the key features of the facilities that we've been closing with our current borrowers. We're doing a term of 3 years from closing, extendable by 24 months with certain conditions met. The interest rate is varying from 2.5 to 9% fixed. The collateral is subject to underwriting and depending, of course, of our credit analysis and due diligence. And the repayment is interest only, revolving structure that allows redeployment of capital, amplifying total impact. All these terms translate in we are underwriting at the parent entity level, so our affordable housing developers are able to use the flexible low-cost financing at the portfolio level, not only in one single property, but at the entire portfolio level, which is a first-time and very valuable opportunity for affordable housing developers. Normally, they use other types of financing that are strained to the property, which means they cannot do projects at the portfolio level, which will bring them savings already. If you want to change water fixtures in one property because you have a water bill that's extremely expensive in that property, that's your reactive need. If you change water fixtures at the portfolio level, not because you need it, but because you're already going to save money in your water bill on those with that water fixtures replacement investment, you're already perceiving savings, not only because you're going to improve your water bill, but also because you're going to use the same contractor to do so, which is going to bring this affordable housing developers savings since the beginning. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, so here we go on the bread and butter of this instrument. The Resilience Dedicated Fund will provide financing for 3 specific types of investments. The first one, capital improvements. No more than 50% in aggregate of the entire facility can go towards capital improvements. These improvements are required to enhance sustainability measures and demonstrate positive impact for the community. These capital improvements are the reactive needs that our affordable housing developers have on a day-to-day basis. A roof leak, for example, it could be a perfect example on a capital improvement, mold that's found in a property, things that they need to do every single day to keep these properties and communities safe. Right now, our affordable housing developers are using very costly dollars to take care of these capital improvements. The second group of investments is our resilience investments. 100% of the entire allocation of this facility can go towards resilience investments. It doesn't have a limit because this is exactly the investments that we want to see happening at the portfolio and at the property level. The third group of eligible investments under the Resilience Dedicated Fund are the resilience-related studies and consulting service that can be financed up to 30% of total. So up to 30%, it's a very high It's a lot. We don't envision any borrower going beyond 30% because it's only studies. And the goal around having resilience related studies is, and I mentioned it before, we want to make sure that the projects and investments are scoped correctly so that it's going to indeed reduce risk at the property level and at the community level as well. We don't want our borrowers to be doing any type of investment just to check the box, but we want that investment to really be reducing the risk of the property. Okay. So what are we counting as resilience? So the resilience and the resilience dedicated fund extends beyond protecting individual assets. It integrates quantifiable risk reduction with durable community and public health outcomes. Eligible investments include climate risk mitigation. Some examples could be permeable surfaces, grid infrastructure, shading systems, tree canopy expansion. Water management and efficiency can include water conservation upgrades, high efficiency fixtures, and stormwater management controls. Community well-being and environmental health includes measures that improve indoor air quality, outdoor air quality, and reduce environmental exposure risks. My next slide is a compliance example on how we are seeing this on our day-to-day implementing this fund. So we have our affordable housing developer suffering a roof leak on one of their properties. That's their origin investment. They could finance that roof repair up to 90% of the total cost. In order for this affordable housing to comply with the use of the facility, as mentioned, we need to do a resilience investment. Our affordable housing developer has no idea what resilience investment they could do in order to comply with that. So they're going to use our dedicated fund product support program. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, which is the technical assistance program that is going to support them in bringing the experts that are guiding that investment around resilience. So they're going to do a property resilience assessment at the property. And then they're going to identify that in that specific property, they could do a green roof installation. And they're going to invest in this green roof, and they're going to finance up to 90% of that green roof installation at that specific property. That's the entire compliance, the 3 different groups of investments. We're all good. This is the additionality that this instrument is bringing. In right now, the baseline is our affordable housing developer is fixing the roof. They keep going to the next reactive investment. The goal of this facility is to help them get out of that snowball effect around reaction and get them to the proaction. And that takes time. It takes low cost financing, and it takes experts to help them get out of that snowball effect. While the project, the current borrowers pipeline include relatively few standalone resilience projects, the dedicated funds revolving facilities are designed to generate long-term value by implementing rigorous project and property level data collection and performance tracking. This approach enables us to identify and quantify repayment drivers, including cash flow impacts, avoided losses, operational and maintenance savings, and insurance cost stabilization for standalone resilience investments. Establish a standardized impact and repayment drivers to inform future underwriting, pricing, and portfolio level risk management. This is very important. Even though we are not underwriting at the project level, so basically I am not given a standalone loan to do better stormwater management practices because I will be struggling in identifying my repayment drivers there. Even though we are underwriting at the portfolio level and my repayments coming from the parent entity cash flows, it does not mean that we will not be very diligently in data collection, because we need to show the industry, with not only the affordable housing industry, but the financial industry, that the repayment drivers are there, that insurance premiums will be going down when properties will be performing better than others. And now that the insurance discussion is evolving, and our insurance companies already know the types of investments that they want to see in the properties because they've done the research as well, it's going to be easier to have that conversation with insurance brokers. A year ago, that conversation with insurance companies is evolving very fast. A year ago, it was different. A year ago, my presentation, this same presentation, I would be saying, in 3 to 5 years, we will be seeing insurance premiums going down because properties are performing better than others. That's changing already a year from now. Insurance companies are changing premiums, knowing the specific investments they want to see at the property level. They're not waiting until the property is performing, because they already know the property is going to perform better than others. And they're protecting that the property owner is protecting the property that they're insuring. So that conversation is shifting very fast, and we want to be there to capture that data in order to motivate other industry players to do these specific investments at the proactive level rather than at the reactive level. Let me go to my next slide. So this is our projected outcomes on what we have today here in Montgomery County. We have properties being upgraded with resilience measures, things that it was not happening before. We have residents reducing climate risk exposure. We have utility cost reduction. We have avoided maintenance expenses being avoided, operational savings, reduced recovery costs, reduction on insurance premiums, increased asset value. And this model, we see it as a great model to be replicated at other counties and at the state level as well. Let me go through one of the slides around the one thing that I wanted to mention, and I didn't include that slide, but it's important, which is the technical assistance program that is baked with this instrument, which is the dedicated fund product support program. This product support program is the one that provides access to a sophisticated network of technical experts who support the identification and advancement of multi-benefit sustainability investments across building portfolios. This includes climate risk management, water management, and interventions that enhance community well-being and public health. As a dedicated fund technical coordinator, we're working in partnership with Pre-Collective, who brings specialized pre-development and portfolio level planning expertise to help affordable housing developers identify, structure, and advance high-impact sustainability investments. Their role ensures that energy efficiency, renewable energy, and climate resilience measures are not implemented as isolated upgrades, but as part of a comprehensive, proactive capital strategy. That is a game changer. I would not be seeing my affordable housing developers shifting pipeline towards resilience if I don't have experts scoping their investments and helping them identify additional opportunities that the reactive investments that they have in front of them. They don't have the capacity to do it because they simply don't have the time and the in-house expertise. So that's the entire idea of having technical assistance baked with the specific instrument. This is my presentation. We have here is my email. I am the point of contact for this program. Please send me any questions you have, and it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Laura, thank you so much. That was amazing. Do you have a few minutes for me to ask some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great. Excellent. So I can't thank you enough for addressing, health and wellness of the building occupant. Um, a lot of times when I'm in rooms of energy efficiency, greenhouse gas reduction, climate change, resiliency, sustainability, it's more of an engineering, energy savings, electrification conversation. And never shall the two meet where, you actually have a conversation about public health and the health and wellness of the building occupant. So I appreciate you including that in your presentation and in your financing. And I also know that Montgomery County has a very aggressive radon law, the only one in the state, and there are a few states in the union that actually have such an aggressive law. And I know that there are certain places in Montgomery County that have been known to have maybe higher levels of radon than others, but statewide, it's a serious issue. 1 in 4 homes in Maryland having high levels of radon above the EPA action limit. Actually, how I came to the space of measuring radon in my home here in Randallstown, Maryland, and finding radon here, and then going through the process of mitigation. So I appreciate that level of intentionality because I think, when we're talking about sick building syndrome, which was not a phenomenon before the 1970s energy crisis, right? It did not exist. But once the energy crisis happened in the 1970s, we started, making our buildings much more energy efficient. We reduced some of the ventilation to cut down on costs. But then the unintended consequence was sick building syndrome. And one of the things I'm always concerned about when we're talking about building energy performance standards, and I know Washington, D.C., Montgomery County, instituted their, energy standards way before the state did, is that we're at risk of repeating the same mistakes of the 1970s, and focusing on electrification, thinking that if you electrify a building, that the healthy indoor air comes along for the ride. And I'm here to say that's not true. We measure every building that I go into. When I saw you last week, I had my air quality monitor. Your building was performing very well, but most do not. And I'm always surprised when I'm in a building that does. And so, how can we make sure that we're not just having a conversation about energy savings, and that we're really intentional about the health and well-being of the occupant, because that's why we buy homes. That's why we move into buildings. We don't do this to save energy costs. We do it to be a healthy, safe space.
Yeah. Well, this is the battle that we're fighting, the ones not working in exclusively energy.
Mhm.
And I think we forget about how clean energy specifically, has been evolving, and how in the beginning, um, they needed to be a lot of incentives, and until the incentives were there, as well as the regulations and policies were there, then the market pace started to pick up, right? Those are things that you need. And what I'm looking here to do with this specific instrument is not only relying on the policies and regulations that need to take place. It doesn't mean that we don't need them. And this is something that I highlight constantly to my county. We do not have the regulations in place that we need in order to keep our community safe around the building as an asset. We need to make sure that we don't work only on the asset, but through the asset. And the through the asset means specifically for the communities this asset is serving. So we certainly don't have those regulations right now. And as I can only do what I can control, my goal is let me do a program where I incentivize you to do something that otherwise you not be doing. You will be benefiting the communities, because I'm giving you low cost financing and the experts that are going to teach you how to do it. And at the same time, you're going to be covering your capital improvements and saving a lot of money. So many people, when we brought this program, they're like, how are non-affordable housing developers going to use this? Like, you're giving them 2.5 like to 9%, which is like, and flexible at the portfolio level. This is a no-brainer. That is true. That's a no-brainer. And I want them to do, if they're going to do it because it's 2.5, I don't care. I am making them comply, and I am making them doing investments that they otherwise would not be doing.
Right.
So at some point we
The
needed
person with the
to
money makes the rules, right?
exactly at some point we needed to get the capital flowing and start doing things.
Yeah. Hmm.
This industry has always been struggling, and I feel we've been running like the mice is running on the
Yeah.
little thing
Yeah.
around two specific things, like, oh, we need the regulations to do it.
Hmm.
No, we cannot wait for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's we cannot wait. It's just too late now. Climate change is already affecting us, as like there are environmental issues already affecting our communities, 100% affecting disadvantaged communities more than other types of communities. We need to do that something today now. And the other thing, it doesn't mean that we should not keep moving towards regulations, and I think we're going to get there. But the other thing is, this is incentives, right? I've been talking a lot with the county about fast tracking on permits. This is such low cost solution and incentive for the county, and it will be a game changer for the developers. If you fast track better buildings that are performing better as an asset, and not only for climate hazards, but also providing environmental benefits to the communities they're going to serve. And you cut that permit timeline from 6 to 3 months because they're doing better. That's money for the developers.
Right.
And that's such an easy way to do it.
Right.
That's something that I'm pushing on to
The
do
difference
right
between
now.
a project penciling and not penciling, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So it's we need regulations and policies.
Hmm.
We need incentives,
Hmm.
like we did when
Hmm.
energy was not a thing. Now
Hmm.
it's a thing.
Hmm.
Now there's incentives. Now there's savings. Now everyone that there's the policies. There's the building energy performance standard.
Right.
Now you have to do it. There's
Right.
no other way. Like
Right.
you have to do it.
Right.
Electricity prices are rising up. Like
Hmm.
you have to do it.
Hmm.
Like you have no option. That's happening
Yeah.
with environmental issues and risk reduction. If
Yeah.
you don't do it, like the 100-year rainfall events, it's happening every month.
On top of the fact that there's a pent-up demand from the consuming public as well for these types of buildings, especially when you get down to the younger age groups that'll be, owners in 3 or 4 years. This is exactly what they're looking for.
100%.
They're not going to take anything different than a certified, environmentally certified property. And this is actually the best investment that a building owner can make, whether you're a developer or a building owner, and you're thinking that this retrofit is uh, is a headache and a nightmare, and how you're going to figure it out. Well, look at what Anthony Malkin did in Manhattan with the Empire State Building back in 2009. We can really learn a lot about how he retrofitted that property, 2.8 million square feet, without any incentives. He made it happen. And now it's an example for the world on how you
Yeah.
can retrofit a historic building.
Yeah. We're
Um,
building that story. I think this instrument is helping us build that story.
yeah, yeah,
Building that story, bringing insurance into the discussion, bringing all of those savings that they're not evident because they're not energy savings evident. It's different. It's different. Each investment is different, but they will bring savings. So my perception with this program is that we're helping to shape that story and to motivate not only policymakers, but the industry as a whole to just act without even being pushed to do it.
I
Just
mean, it's
because
going to take a holistic approach. It's going to take funders like yourself giving, better interest rates if you build this way. It's going to take insurance companies reducing your premiums, right? My
100%.
question is, how much more of a premium reduction would you get when you start focusing on the health and wellness of the building occupant, right? Because now we're talking about less missed school days for students. We're
Yeah.
talking about less missed work days for adults. And we're talking about less emergency room visits, with Maryland having the slowest emergency room wait times in the country. A lot of that
Yeah.
is coming from, manageable issues with inside the home environment, having to do with poor air quality. So I'm excited that you're already seeing traction on the insurance side, but I think there's a little bit more runway when we start adding a layer of protection of the health and wellness of the occupants. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's two layers, and you just hit on the spot. There's two different layers on the insurance conversation, right? The asset and through the asset.
Hmm.
The asset conversation is moving faster
Hmm. Hmm.
because it really it's been evident, and
Right. Right.
unfortunately, Mother Nature has shown those savings that
Right.
would be coming from properties that have done nothing
Sure.
and properties that have done so much.
Hmm.
And when the hazard comes and hits properties, hurricanes or extreme rainfalls, and you have properties that are under the water and properties that did the investments, they had the informations and
Hmm.
they were completely protected.
Hmm.
That conversation is evolving faster because it's more evident right now.
Sure.
So
Hmm.
that is a conversation that I was referring on my presentation. The asset conversation that has it's evolving really really fast. I'm telling you, when I started this the program and the presentation, the insurance piece has been evolving very fast around the asset. From the public health perspective, this is something that data collection around specific investments is going to have a huge part on the discussion.
Hmm.
And this is capacity building for the property owner is a key piece of that conversation. We need to empower our property owners that are doing, let's say, indoor air quality improvements, and they're putting money towards providing a better indoor air quality for property, for example. And we would need to seek on specific data around what are we seeing with that community that's being that's having honestly the opportunity to breathe better air. And then we need to support with technical assistance partners like yourself, that property owners to say, what do I need to ask today, baseline to my communities, like the specific sicknesses, specific conditions, and when do I have to ask again so that we can have the data, specific data on
Yep.
things that we're improving
Right.
that are going to translate into less people going to the ER, less people having those asthma episodes.
Hmm.
And we need that data.
Hmm.
That's going slowly, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
But one very important thing is that capacity building for the property owner and the
Hmm.
project owner. We need to teach them, we need to help them. What questions do they need to ask? What baseline data do they need to gather? When do they need to gather more data in order to get to those outcomes that we're envisioning?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good point. So you talked about your resilience studies, consulting 30% included. Then I saw indoor air quality included there as well. So interestingly enough, I think I mentioned this to you last week. The Mount Calvary Baptist Church, one of the oldest African American churches in Montgomery County in Rockville, 125-year-old congregation. I'm good friends with one of the trustees there. We joke all the time that all this all started over a crab cake because we were having a crab cake celebrating an event that happened. And I was asking her about if she knew about building energy performance standards, and she was like, she had no clue. And she was like, well, our church is, affected by that. I said, yeah, I think so. And so this was a conversation we were having early days, 2020, fall of 2022, when BEPS just
Okay.
passed.
Okay.
And so we started having a really serious conversation, and then I suggested to her that she consult with the Montgomery County Green Bank to
Okay.
see if maybe they might, provide a grant for a energy audit, which you did.
$100%. Oh,
Thank you
you
very
did?
much
We
for that.
did.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Okay.
You totally did.
Okay.
And before we did all that, what we did was we did some baseline validation. One, which was very important, was a gross square footage verification.
Okay.
Um, we're learning from the Building Innovation Hub and the Institute for Market Transformation that 70% of their tickets that they're getting is because there was no gross square footage verification, which is very important for everything that you're talking about doing. Because if that
Mhm.
number is wrong and we're relying on old blueprints or public record, that number is typically wrong. So what happened when we did a gross square footage verification at the church, Public record said it was 32,000 square feet. It was really 38,000 square feet.
Mhm,
And at the same time, we also dropped in three of these indoor air quality monitors, reset accredited monitors, and we measured air quality for 90 days to just to set a
mhm,
baseline, right? And then I would text the trustee when numbers spike, typically during service at 12 noon on Sunday, or when they're having a meeting. And then they got a indoor air quality impact report. I say all that to say that that is really what has dictated the types of deep energy retrofit, which I believe Montgomery County Green Bank is actually very much involved with financing that part of the project as well, which is great. A lot of grant funds have been raised to be able to facilitate this as well. And then once all the improvements are made, we're going to come back with our air quality monitors at the end of the day and
mhm.
validate that everything is working the way it should be working so that when you have service on Sunday, with an average members of 62 years old, you're not
Mhm.
having, the respiratory issues that you may have having not done this. So I'm excited to see that there are incentives being rolled out for people that really want to focus on the indoor air quality component. Anything you want to add to that in regards to how builders are embracing that?
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I was testifying in front of the council because when I started the resilience program at the Green Bank, and I mentioned this in my presentation back in 2023, but basically the Montgomery County expanded our scope of work to do physical resilience without even knowing what that meant. And the reality is that they didn't give us a funding source like the one we have on energy.
Hmm.
Reason why most of my programs are really focused on private sector involvement rather than public funding grant dependent models
Hmm.
because I didn't have that.
Hmm.
My testimony on Tuesday was to allow us to use the energy tax funding that we get from the county to start doing standalone, let's say, indoor air quality improvements.
Is that still 10% that's coming in from the county
It
for
it's
property
still
tax?
the same. We're having some advocates to add some a percentage a little
Mhm.
more for us
Good.
to
Good.
not people are scared that we're gonna decrease our energy related investments to replace it for physical,
Mhm.
which people like you and me know. And I say this out loud to everyone. It does not make sense to have a complete decarbonized building sector if we have sick people, underwater buildings. That doesn't make any
No
sense.
point.
So
Right.
we need to do them both.
Hmm. Hmm.
And honestly, it's more important the resilience, physical resilience, environmental risk part. But I'm not gonna say that. But we both know it is.
We'll just
So
keep
what
that
I've
between
been
us.
doing, yeah. So what I've been doing for now, it's not approved yet. I think they're gonna approve. Hopefully they're going to increase a little bit our percentage. I don't know that. That's a different battle. Right now, I'll get happy if they approve it and I'm able to do to use that energy tax funding for my investments. What I've been doing is I've been packaging solutions, which is part of my strategy. And when the church example that you brought is perfect, and
Mhm.
that's exactly what I'm doing in order to do indoor air quality and be able to finance that or give some subsidy for studies on indoor air quality, uh, packaging that with the energy audit, for example. The scope of the projects that I've got right now are resilience exclusively. Like I got sewer renewal projects and I cannot finance that. So I package some energy audits, energy benchmarking, and honestly, maybe there's something that they can improve at the energy level. So I've been able to kind of package solutions and include already indoor air quality. So for example, this church would be able to cover your services, your technical assistance services, of indoor air quality assessment and whatever you were doing with our technical assistance program. And that's exactly what I want to do.
Got it. Got it. Absolutely. And also to be monitoring air quality during the retrofit process, I think is very important if folks are still occupying the building. And there's a lot of harmful dust in the building. So we've got more questions than time.
I don't know. Go
Um,
for it.
so I guess my next question is about maybe a capital stack. Have you seen any, or are you looking into healthcare financing of healthy homes?
Yes.
Nonprofit healthcare institutions are legally obligated to give a percentage of their revenue to community impact, social determinants of health initiatives. I know that here in Baltimore, John Hopkins in 2023 gave close to $630 million contributed towards healthcare benefit dollars. You can see all that on their 990, but are you having conversations with the nonprofit healthcare industry? I know Kaiser Permanente is right there in Montgomery County as a
Not
healthcare
Aaron.
financing.
I'm not, but I
Oh,
should.
okay,
I'm not. I'm not. It's been me structuring all of this program.
okay, okay.
I have a new intern supporting me, but it's been a lot.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but that is a conversation that I certainly should be starting for the program. Right now, my goal has been to identify pockets of capital so that I could incentivize the early stage of the investment. So the studies, the measurement of the
Hmm. Hmm.
your
It's
work. I
soft
want to
soft costs.
exactly. I
Yeah.
want to
Hmm.
incentivize
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
and tell the project owners
Hmm.
saying, I will incentivize this early stage, and you
Hmm.
can use the low cost financing for the actual investment.
Hmm.
That's kind of the timeline as I see it.
Well, I'm happy to make some introductions, both to
Absolutely.
organizations
I please
that
thank you for
specialize in
that.
this. Yeah.
Thank you for that. For bringing that up to my attention. I think at Focus, as conversations are evolving faster on the asset
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
with insurance and the asset
Hmm.
itself, but I think that's a very valid point. And if you can guide me and maybe help me with some introductions,
Hmm.
I can gladly start that
Absolutely.
discussions.
I
Yeah,
have I have some people that would be very eager to talk to you.
great.
Okay, just a few other questions here.
Yeah, go for it.
Industrialized construction, offsite construction, where the homes are built, 85% of the home is built in a factory. I'm not talking about a mobile home or a manufactured home. I'm talking about a high quality home. Um, are you seeing many developers who are building either single family homes or multifamily properties using this methodology, and are they engaging the Green Bank for this type of financing?
That's a good question. So our relationship with developers have been evolving because of the program that I've done. In the past, 2 years ago, when a developer was knocking on our door,
Hmm.
was because the project permits were ready, capital stack was ready, they had a gap on their capital stack. They were
Hmm.
looking to fulfill that gap. Green Bank, I'm doing this. What do you want me to do for energy related investments so that you can fulfill this gap in my capital stack? Permits were ready, everything was ready. Of course, zoning, everything. What we're trying to do right now in that discussion with developers is incentivizing them in get to us earlier in the
Later. Hmm.
process so that we can help them make better decisions at the pre-development discussion, which is much cheaper than doing it when the building is up and running.
Sure, sure.
So that is going to take us a while,
Hmm.
and we envision that. And
Hmm.
when I still we still make the effort of when we know is late in the process, we'll still encourage the send some questions. So we have a
Hmm.
questionnaire
Hmm.
and we have a guide
Hmm.
on pre-development for resilience. And the answers are mostly no, we're not doing this, we didn't do this, etc. My bet is that that specific developer will come back to me for their next project earlier because they know they're going to get better rate if they're doing these things right. And they're including me earlier in the
on the
process.
front end, right? Not
Exactly.
as a
And
stopgap,
that
but as a
is
yeah,
already happening, I
yeah.
have to say. That is already happening. I've had one affordable housing developer coming super late in the process. They were ready. They said, no, I'm sorry, you cannot change this.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's perfect, no problem. I was giving them, if they changed a couple of things on their design,
Hmm.
I was going, let's say, from 5.5 to 4.5 in my interest rate. And they said, no, it doesn't pencil out. It's very costly. We cannot change it. And I'm like, that's perfect. Next project, they came to me saying, we're going to change this project. We're early in the process. Can we still get a 4.5 interest rate for construction loan?
Hmm.
So they came earlier. And that's a conversation that we've been evolving with developers. Also, the developer industry is so different. The affordable housing developer, they operate differently, and that's honestly the main reason that I started with them. They normally develop and they operate, they own their properties long enough, they care about their communities to care about environmental risk, future climate scenarios. They care. You have the developer that develops, the building is up, sell out. They don't care. They need policies and regulations in
Yeah,
place because
yeah.
they're not going to change their business model. They're not going to go above code in order to, unless we have a population that is empowered enough, like you said yourself, young people
Yeah.
wanting better property.
Yeah.
So the market is shifting. People already know they're they want different types of buildings. Then the developer would do their own market assessment, saying, we need to do something
Well,
different.
I think a smart developer is gonna think this way. I think there's also an opportunity for the Green Bank, along with your connections with county legislators and permitting and zoning, to say, here's a floor plan, right?
Yeah.
We've already approved a floor plan. It ticks all of our boxes from being healthy, smart, high performing, right? And then zoning and permitting has already approved this. Like, build this.
Yeah.
Right, kind of reverse engineer it in the sense where the Montgomery County, like we can definitely, finance the heck out of this if you do it this way.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity there as well. So my last question, I know that you have other people not only in the state of Maryland but across the country begging you to just how can we get you
Literally.
outside of Montgomery County?
Literally.
So my question is, what is the big difference between the Montgomery County Green Bank and the Maryland State Green Bank?
Oh, so we work very closely, but so we're chartered by the county, the MCEC is chartered by the state. They do programs, their own programs. They can, of course, invest at the state level. We cannot right now. This program has opened the conversation to let Montgomery County go beyond Montgomery County and scale this program at the state level.
Really?
Yes.
Are you making an announcement for the first time here on
No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no.
okay, okay.
No, I'm very grateful. I think you're right that Montgomery County is a pretty straightforward looking county. We see it as a great incubator to
Mhm.
test new models that could be scalable at the state and at the national level, and we're
Well, you
clearly
did it for
proving that.
BEPS. You did it for BEPS,
Exactly. We
right?
did it for
So,
BEPS.
yeah,
I think we're gonna do it for the resilience financing industry
yes,
as well.
yes,
So it's very exciting, and we're really looking forward to not keep these solutions to ourselves, but to let other counties and states replicate so that we can leverage everything that we're doing outside Montgomery County.
absolutely. So your contact information will magically appear on the screen in
Okay.
post, so people will be able to reach out and get in contact with you. Thank you so much. I greatly
Thank you.
appreciate your time and your subject matter expertise. This was fun.
Thank you. This was super fun. Thank you. I appreciate your questions. Super great questions. And I
Thank
also
you.
appreciate your suggestion on the health industry. If you can follow up with that and guide me a little bit and tell me, I think you should talk to this person, and then maybe if you know them, that's great. We do intros, but I think that's a conversation I can start.
You already know the subject of my email starts with Aaron Rice follow-up, so you know I will.
Okay, perfect.
All right, talk soon.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
You too.